The stars were bright, cold and distant as Ethan Ryder piloted his small ship through the uncharted sector. He had been sent on a routine diplomatic mission, but something in the sensors had flickered hours ago, warning of unknown gravitational anomalies. Still, Ethan pressed forward. A human on the edge of the galaxy, alone, cautious yet curious, was exactly where humans were not supposed to be. The first sign of trouble came as a sudden tremor shook the ship. Ethan gripped the controls, his knuckles white, and scanned the instruments. Alarms flashed red, a warning of an incoming storm in the planet's upper atmosphere. Zithera. He had never seen the planet before. His orders had been vague, almost secretive. But the sensors showed a world of swirling green and blue with massive cities glinting like jewels. And yet, the storm didn't feel natural. It was deliberate. Before Ethan could react, the ship was caught in a violent gravitational pull. The hull groaned under the strain. Warning lights screamed in his eyes. "Come on," he muttered, pushing every button and lever he could find. The ship shuddered and twisted like a leaf in a hurricane. Then, with a violent crash and a blinding flash, Ethan's world went black. When he woke, the air was heavy and scented with something unfamiliar, like metal and flowers mixed together. The ship was broken beyond repair, half buried in the sand of a strange glowing landscape. Strange plants twisted toward the sky, moving as if alive. And the sky itself was no ordinary sky. 2 suns hovered above the horizon, casting shadows that moved in directions he could not predict. Ethan climbed out of the wreck, his legs stiff, his body sore. He had survived the crash, but survival alone was not enough. The planet was alive, in a way he couldn't understand. Every rock, every plant seemed to watch him. He took cautious steps forward, scanning for movement. He didn't have to wait long. A figure appeared on the ridge, a tall, elegant being with luminous eyes and a crown of what looked like living crystals. Its presence made the air feel heavier. The being's gaze met Ethan's and a shiver ran down his spine. He had faced danger before, but nothing like this. "I am Lysara," the being said, voice soft yet commanding, echoing in his mind as much as in the air. "You are far from home, human." Ethan swallowed hard. His first instinct was to speak, but no words came. The being stepped closer, moving with grace and authority. "Do not be afraid. You are not my enemy. Yet." I didn't mean to land here," Ethan finally managed. I'm just a pilot." His words sounded small, almost silly in the presence of something so immense. Lysara studied him, tilting her head. "Your kind is unpredictable," she said. "But I sense courage in you, curiosity, intelligence." She moved around him, circling with quiet authority. "Most humans would panic, most humans would beg. You survive." Ethan's heart raced. "Survive? You mean I'm in danger?" "Perhaps," she said. Her eyes seemed to pierce through him. "Or perhaps you are the solution to a problem you do not yet understand. You landed here by accident, yet the accident may have meaning." Ethan wanted to protest, but the words died in his throat. Somehow, he knew she spoke the truth. He had seen the storms, the strange gravitational pulls, the city lights shimmering below him. Nothing on this planet felt random. "Come," Lysara said, stepping toward a glowing city in the distance. "You will find safety in my court. And answers." Ethan hesitated. He was a human alone on an alien planet with a creature far beyond comprehension. Yet deep down, he knew he had no other choice. He nodded slowly. I will follow." The walk to the city was surreal. The sand beneath their feet glowed faintly, reacting to their steps. Towering structures of crystal and metal twisted toward the sky, reflecting light and colors Ethan had no names for. Strange creatures flitted in the air, wings like shimmering glass. He wanted to run, but Lysara's presence was magnetic, a constant reminder that he was exactly where he was meant to be. Finally, they reached the city gates. They opened without sound, welcoming him into a world beyond imagination. The streets were empty, yet Ethan felt watched. He saw murals carved into the walls depicting battles and celebrations, creatures of all shapes and humans he did not recognize, perhaps travelers from other worlds. Lysara led him to a grand hall at the heart of the city. The hall was enormous, its walls adorned with glowing symbols that pulsed in time with the city's heartbeat. At the center sat a council of beings, their eyes fixed on him. Ethan realized then that this was no ordinary court. These were leaders, rulers, warriors, advisors, all waiting to see the human who had arrived by fate. "You may sit," Lysara said, gesturing to a raised platform. "Do not fear. I am their queen, and you are my guest. For now." Ethan sat, trying to steady his racing heart. The council watched silently. He could feel their thoughts probing him, assessing him. He was a human in a room full of beings who could probably outthink and overpower him in an instant. And yet, he did not feel weak. He felt ready. Lysara's voice broke the silence. "Tell me, human, what do you know of courage?" Ethan thought for a moment. "Courage is trying when failure is certain, surviving when everything is against you, fighting for what matters even when the odds are impossible." A faint smile appeared on Lysara's face. "Perhaps you are more human than most humans themselves," she said. "Perhaps you are what this planet needs." Ethan did not know what that meant, but he understood one thing clearly. His life had changed forever. The stars he had known, the mission he had followed, the world he had belonged to, all of it was behind him. Ahead lay uncertainty, danger, and perhaps purpose. And as he looked into Lysara's glowing eyes, Ethan realized he was not afraid. Not yet. For the first time in his life, he felt the thrill of being exactly where he was meant to be, at the heart of a story larger than himself, on a planet that might change the future of humanity forever. Ethan sat stiffly on the glowing platform, trying to steady his racing heart. The Council of Zithara remained silent, their eyes like sharp crystals watching every flicker of his expression. It was unlike anything he had ever experienced. He had faced storms, hostile worlds, even pirates, but nothing prepared him for this. Lysara floated slightly above the platform, her aura shimmering with authority. "Ethan Ryder," she said, her voice calm but powerful, echoing in the hall. "You survived what many of my own warriors could not. You demonstrated courage, intelligence, and adaptability. These qualities are rare, even among humans." Ethan blinked, unsure what to say. I just did what I had to," he admitted. "I wanted to survive, that's all." Lysara's gaze softened slightly as if she could see into his mind. Survival alone is not enough. Survival with clarity, with careful thought, and without losing your sense of purpose. That is remarkable. A murmur ran through the council. Ethan realized then that every eye was on him, weighing him, judging him. He had no idea what they were thinking, but he knew it was serious. Lysara continued, her voice lowering, deliberate. "Your arrival was no accident. Zithara is on the edge of chaos. My enemies plot against me, and my people are divided. You may be the key to bringing peace." Ethan swallowed hard. "Me? I'm just a pilot. I'm not a politician. I don't know anything about ruling a planet." "Perhaps that is exactly why you are needed," Lysara said. "A mind unbound by Zitharan tradition, untainted by our conflicts, may see the solutions that we cannot." The hall fell silent again. Ethan could feel the weight of expectation pressing down on him. He had never asked for this responsibility. Yet, somehow, it felt impossible to refuse. Then Lysara said words that froze him in place. "Ethan Ryder, I declare you my mate." The council gasped. Ethan's jaw dropped. His mind raced. "Mate? What does that mean?" Lysara's eyes met his, calm and unwavering. "In Zitharan tradition, a mate is more than a partner. A mate is a bond, a union of purpose and trust. Through this bond, we strengthen each other and ensure the stability of our world." "But I don't even know you," Ethan stammered. And I'm human. I don't understand your customs. That is why this is necessary, Lysera said. By accepting, you bring new perspective. You help me secure peace, and in return you gain safety and knowledge beyond your world's understanding. Do you accept? Ethan's mind raced. He thought of Earth, of his friends and family far away, of the ship that was destroyed and the mission he had abandoned. Nothing mattered now, not yet. This was bigger than anything he had known. Slowly, he nodded. I will accept, he said. A soft glow surrounded Lysera, and the council lowered their heads in approval. The hall seemed to hum with energy. Ethan felt a strange warmth spread through him. Not fear, but purpose. He was no longer just a human pilot. He was part of something vast, something powerful. Lysera floated down beside him. You will not face this alone. Your bond with me will connect you to Zithera, to its people, and to its destiny. Ethan's mind struggled to keep up. Destiny? Yes, she said. This planet teeters on the edge of war. Rebels seek to overthrow me, claiming the throne is weak. They do not understand strategy, innovation, or human ingenuity. They underestimate what a single human can bring. Ethan felt a mixture of fear and excitement. Rebels, assassins, political battles. He had never trained for anything like this, but somehow he knew he could help. Survival had taught him quick thinking, adaptation, and courage. He would need every skill he had learned just to keep the peace, and perhaps save the Queen herself. Shadows across the city, making the crystal towers glow as if they were alive. Birds, if they could be called that, flitted between the spires, their wings shimmering like liquid glass. Ethan took a deep breath, trying to calm his nerves. Today, his training would begin. Lysera met him at the entrance to a grand hall filled with strange devices, glowing symbols and maps that floated in midair. Ethan, she said, her voice calm and steady, you must understand our people if you hope to help them. You must learn our customs, our strategies, and how we think. Only then can you truly stand beside me. Ethan nodded, trying to hide his unease. He had never been a soldier or a politician. His life had been simple: pilot missions, navigation, survival. Now, he was expected to learn alien languages, battle strategies, and court politics in a matter of days. First, Lysera continued, you must train your mind. Zitheran thought is precise, logical, and bound by tradition. Your human mind, however, can see beyond tradition. That is your strength. Use it. The lessons were intense. Ethan studied the Zitheran language, learning sounds that rolled and clicked in ways his tongue had never encountered. He memorized maps of the city and surrounding lands, noting weaknesses in defenses and supply routes. He learned about the council members, their strengths, their temperaments, and their hidden fears. Most challenging of all was learning their combat strategies. Zitherans fought with weapons and tactics far beyond anything humans had developed. Energy blades, grav pulse shields, and floating battle platforms all were foreign to him. Yet Lysera guided him patiently, showing him how to think like a Zitheran without losing his human intuition. You have courage, she said one evening as they sparred in a training chamber. But courage alone will not win battles. You must anticipate, adapt, and use what others cannot see. That is the human advantage. Ethan grunted as he blocked another strike, sweat running down his face. I'm trying, he panted. But your moves, they're fast, precise. I've never fought like this before. Lysera's eyes softened. And that is why you are valuable. You do not have the constraints of tradition. Your mind can imagine strategies we cannot. As days passed, Ethan grew stronger, faster, and more confident. He began to understand the city's pulse, the council's concerns, and the subtle tension that ran through Zitheran society. Something was brewing, something dangerous. He could sense it, even if he didn't know the full details yet. One night while reviewing maps in the council chamber, Ethan noticed irregular movements outside the city. Small groups, moving silently, avoiding patrols. "Lysara," he said, pointing at the data. "There's a pattern here. These aren't just random travelers, they're organized." Lysara's expression darkened. "Yes, you are correct, Ethan. There is a faction among my people who seek to overthrow me. They believe a human mate weakens the throne. They underestimate you, and they underestimate the value of human ingenuity." Ethan swallowed hard. "They could attack the city?" "Perhaps," Lysara said. "Perhaps not today, perhaps not tomorrow, but the threat exists. That is why your training is so important. You must be ready to think faster than they do." Over the next few days, Ethan's training intensified. He learned not only to fight but to lead. He studied the council's debates, observing how alliances shifted and how hidden agendas influenced decisions. He practiced making choices under pressure, often predicting outcomes before the Zitherans themselves. The bond between Ethan and Lysara deepened as well. She shared stories of Zithara's past, the wars, the betrayals, the moments of unity that shaped their society. He realized that she carried not only power, but a heavy burden of responsibility. Her people looked to her for guidance, protection, and survival. "You are different," Lysara said one evening, watching Ethan analyze a strategic simulation. "Most humans would be overwhelmed by this responsibility. Most would run or panic. You adapt, you observe, you act. That is why I chose you as my mate. Not for love alone, but for trust, for partnership." Ethan felt a strange warmth at her words. He had never thought of himself as extraordinary. He had survived by being careful, clever, and persistent. And yet, here on an alien world, he realized that his humanity, his ability to think differently, was exactly what Zithara needed. As the weeks passed, Ethan noticed more signs of the rebellion. Messages hidden in symbols, supplies moved at night, whispers in the streets. The human in him, trained in observation and analysis, began to see what the Zitherans could not: patterns, weaknesses, and opportunities. One night, while walking through the city with Lysara, he spoke quietly. "Do you think they'll strike?" "Soon." Lysara's eyes glimmered in the moonlight. "I do not know. But I trust you, Ethan. You see what others miss. You may be our greatest advantage when the time comes." Ethan nodded, determination hardening inside him. The city was beautiful, the people loyal, and the queen wise, but danger was close. He could feel it like a shadow stretching over the glowing towers. He would need every skill he had learned to protect them all. And for the first time he began to feel a sense of belonging. He was no longer just a pilot lost on an alien world. He was a partner, a strategist, and perhaps the key to saving Zithara from the forces gathering in the dark. As they returned to the palace, the twin suns dipping below the horizon, Ethan glanced at Lysara. "I won't fail you," he said, more to himself than to her. She smiled, a mixture of pride and warmth. "I know you won't. That is why you are human, and that is why Zithara may yet survive." Ethan's heart raced with anticipation. He had trained, learned, and adapted. He was ready for the challenges ahead, but he knew that the real test was yet to come. The rebellion was growing, and soon he would have to put everything he had learned to the ultimate test. For now, though, he allowed himself a moment of quiet reflection. The city shimmered under the twin moons, alive and vibrant. And Ethan Ryder understood that he was not alone. He had a purpose, he had a bond, and he had a chance to prove that humans, even far from Earth, could change the course of history. The city of Zithara glowed under the twin suns as Ethan Ryder walked through its streets. The air was filled with the hum of alien machinery and the soft whisper of glowing plants swaying in the wind. Everything seemed peaceful, almost too peaceful. Ethan knew better. He had felt the tension for weeks now, the hidden rebellion growing, waiting for a moment to strike. He met with Lysara in the Grand War Chamber. Holographic maps floated in the air, showing the city, the surrounding lands, and faint symbols that indicated movement. "Ethan," Lysara said, her tone serious, "I trust your judgment. You see things others do not. What do you suggest?" Ethan studied the maps carefully. He had been observing patterns in the rebel movements, noticing supply chains and patrol routes. His human perspective allowed him to see weaknesses in the Zitharan defenses that even the Council had overlooked. Their movements are predictable, he said finally. They strike at night, avoiding the patrols, and use the eastern supply routes. If we block their supplies and anticipate their paths, we can control where they appear. Lysara nodded. And the city? How do we protect it? Ethan pointed to strategic locations on the map. We don't need to defend everywhere at once. We create zones. We use the terrain and the city's natural defenses to our advantage. And we move some of your elite forces into hidden positions. They'll think they have the upper hand, but we'll control the battlefield. The Queen's eyes shone with approval. Your mind is sharp, human. You think differently. That is our advantage. For the next several days, Ethan worked tirelessly with the Council, planning, adjusting, and testing strategies. He introduced ideas unfamiliar to Zitharans: decoys, traps, flexible patrols, and emergency evacuation paths. Some Council members were skeptical at first, but as Ethan explained his logic, they began to see the sense in it. One evening, Lysara approached him quietly. You are doing more than training our forces, she said softly. You are earning trust. The Council listens to you now. That is not easy for any outsider. Ethan shook his head. I'm just trying to survive and help you survive. That's all. Lysara smiled faintly. No, Ethan. You are shaping the future of Zithara. That is more than survival. The night of the first confrontation arrived sooner than expected. Ethan had anticipated the rebels' approach. They moved under the cover of darkness, shadows slipping along the eastern supply routes, but Ethan had prepared traps, ambush points, and false signals to mislead them. From the control chamber, he watched the holographic displays, noting every movement. The rebels thought they had surprise, but Ethan's human advantage gave him a clear picture of their approach. Now, he whispered, and the city's defenses sprang into action. Energy barriers rose along key streets, while hidden patrols moved silently to block escape routes. Holographic decoys drew some rebels into traps where they were quickly captured without a fight. It was not violence that won the day. It was strategy, observation, and anticipation. Lysara appeared beside him, her eyes bright with excitement and relief. You have done this without spilling unnecessary blood, she said. Your mind is a weapon, Ethan. He shook his head, feeling the weight of the responsibility. It's not just me, he said. It's the combination of your people's strength and my perspective. Together we make this work. After the skirmish, Threebles were scattered and disorganized. So, the city of Zithara was quiet at first light, but Ethan Ryder knew better. Weeks of observation had taught him that calm could hide danger. He studied the holographic maps in the war chamber, his eyes tracing the movement of the rebel forces. They were no longer small groups slipping through the shadows. They were organizing, preparing for a full-scale attack. Lysara appeared beside him, her presence calm but commanding. They have underestimated you, Ethan, she said. But this time they will test your strategies to the limit. Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle heavily on his shoulders. He had trained, planned, and adapted. Now, it was time to lead. The human advantage would be put to the ultimate test. The council gathered, their faces a mixture of anxiety and hope. Ethan addressed them, speaking clearly and with authority. We will not fight blindly. We will use their strength against them. Our forces will split into 3 groups, one to block their main approach, one to secure the city's key points, and one to flank their reinforcements. We control the battlefield. The council members exchanged glances, some nodding, others skeptical. Lysara placed a supportive hand on Ethan's shoulder. They will follow your lead, she said. Trust yourself. As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the crystal towers, the rebels struck. Ethan watched the holographic displays as their forces moved precisely along the routes he had predicted. Their numbers were larger than before and their weapons more advanced, but Ethan had anticipated this. Every trap, every decoy, every hidden patrol had been placed to counter their moves. The first wave approached the city gates. Ethan signaled, and energy barriers rose silently, blocking their advance. False signals drew a portion of their forces into ambushes where Zitharan defenders quickly neutralized them. The rebels faltered, confused by the unseen hands guiding the city's defenses. Lysara observed from the control chamber, her eyes glowing softly with pride. "You are using strategy in ways my people have never imagined," she said. "This is the strength of the human mind." Ethan's heart raced as he issued commands, adjusting tactics on the fly. The rebels tried to adapt, but his predictions had accounted for almost every possible move. He guided Zitharan patrols through secret corridors, flanked the enemy's reinforcements, and cut off supply lines. Every action minimized casualties and maximized efficiency. Hours passed in a tense blur. Explosions lit the night sky, energy, weapons crackling across the battlefield. Yet Ethan remained focused, analyzing, predicting, and reacting. His human intuition, combined with Zitharan technology, created a force more adaptable than the rebels had ever faced. Then, a new threat appeared. A massive alien weapon, hidden among the attacking forces. It pulsed with energy, capable of destroying entire districts of the city. Ethan's stomach tightened. "Lysara," he said urgently, "we have a problem. That weapon can destroy the city if we don't act." The Queen's eyes narrowed. "Then we neutralize it, together." Ethan quickly devised a plan. Using a combination of decoys and hidden Zitharan squads, he would distract the rebels while a small team infiltrated the weapon's location. "I'll lead the team," he said. "I know the city's layout better than anyone. I can reach it before it fires." Lysara placed her hand on his arm. "Be careful," she said. "Your life is valuable, Ethan, but I trust your judgment." With the plan in motion, Ethan moved through the city's glowing streets, dodging enemy patrols and using secret passages he had memorized. His pulse raced, but his mind remained clear. Every step was calculated, every decision deliberate. Human ingenuity was guiding him, and he felt alive in a way he never had before. Finally, he reached the weapon. It was larger than he expected, humming with lethal energy. Ethan studied its mechanisms, noting weak points and vulnerabilities. Using tools adapted from Zitharan technology, he disabled the weapon just as the rebels closed in. "Time to go," he muttered, retracing his steps to the city center. The rebels realized too late that their advantage had been stripped away. Ethan rejoined Lysara and the council, coordinating the final moves that would secure the city. By dawn, the battle was over. The rebels were scattered, their leaders captured, or in retreat. The city was safe, its people unharmed thanks to Ethan's strategic guidance. Exhausted but exhilarated, he finally allowed himself to breathe. Lysara approached him, her eyes shining with admiration. "You have done what no one thought possible," she said. "You saved Zithara. Not just with strength, but with intelligence, courage, and foresight. You are more than my mate. You are a hero to my people." Ethan shook his head, still catching his breath. "I couldn't have done it without your people, your trust, and your guidance," he said. "We did this together." The Queen smiled, placing a hand over his. "Yes, together. That is the bond of a mate. That is the bond of partnership. And that bond saved our world." As the twin suns rose again, casting light on the city's gleaming towers, Ethan stood with Lysara on the balcony overlooking the streets. The people cheered, their voices echoing across the crystal spires. He realized that he had not only defended a city, but also gained a sense of purpose he had never known. He thought of Earth, of the life he had left behind. He missed it, yes, but he no longer felt lost. Here, on Zithara, he had a reason to be. He had proven that humans, even far from home, could make a difference in a world of giants and wonders. Lysara's voice broke his thoughts. The rebellion may return, she said. But tonight we have won, and tomorrow we will be stronger. Ethan nodded. We will be ready, he said. Together. For the first time, he felt fully part of this alien world. Not as a visitor, not as an observer, but as a vital force in its story. He had faced impossible odds, made life or death decisions, and emerged victorious. And he knew deep inside that the ultimate test was not over. The true challenge would come when the rebellion learned from their defeat, when they returned smarter, stronger, and more dangerous. But Ethan Ryder, human pilot and now partner to the Queen of Zithera, was ready. He had discovered the full power of human ingenuity, courage, and adaptability, and he would use it to protect this world, no matter the cost. And as the city shimmered under the rising suns, Ethan felt a thrill he had never known. He was no longer just a survivor. He was a protector, a strategist, and a symbol of hope. For humans, for Zithera, and for the fragile peace they had fought to preserve. The morning light bathed Zithera in gold and silver, but Ethan Ryder knew that peace was never simple. The rebellion had been scattered, but their leaders were still out there, hiding, planning. He had hoped that their defeat the night before would mark the end, but this was Zithera, and nothing here was ever easy. Lysera stood beside him on the balcony of the Grand Palace. Her eyes were calm, but carried the weight of leadership. You have done well, Ethan, she said softly. The city is safe and the people are celebrating. But I fear this peace is fragile. Our enemies will return if we are not vigilant. Ethan nodded, understanding the burden she carried. He had seen it firsthand, the constant tension, the responsibility of protecting a civilization. We've proven we can outsmart them, he said, and if they return, we'll be ready. Lysera looked at him, her gaze lingering. There is more at stake than just the city. The weapon they tried to use, the one you disabled, was not their only advantage. They have allies in the outer sectors. They may try something we cannot anticipate. Ethan felt a chill, yet he also felt a strange confidence. He had faced impossible odds before, and he had prevailed. Then we prepare, he said firmly. We stay alert, we learn, and we use our strengths, human and Zitheran, together. The council convened shortly after, and Ethan presented his assessment. He proposed new strategies for city defense, training for patrols and communication systems to detect enemy movements far beyond the city. Some council members were skeptical at first, but the victories of the previous days had proven his ideas effective. Slowly, their skepticism turned to trust. That evening, the city celebrated. Lanterns floated into the sky, casting shimmering light across the towers. Music and laughter filled the streets. Ethan walked beside Lysera, observing the people who now regarded him not as an outsider but as a hero. He felt pride, but also a quiet sorrow. His home, Earth, felt far away, and he knew he could not return yet. Lysera spoke softly, breaking his thoughts. You have done more than I imagined, Ethan. You have brought humans and Zitherans closer, shown that partnership can succeed even across worlds. Ethan looked at her, admiration and respect in his eyes. I never expected this, he admitted. I didn't think I could make a difference here, but I see now that we all have a role to play if we are brave enough to step up. Her hand brushed his arm. You stepped up when it mattered most. That is why you are my mate. And why? You will always be part of Zithera's story. Days turned into weeks. Ethan continued to train, lead patrols, and advise the council. He became a bridge between humans and Zitherans, showing that different perspectives could solve problems no one else could. But he also realized the personal cost. He could not return to Earth. His family, his old life, all were left behind. One evening, as the twin sun set, Lysera approached him. Ethan, she said, her voice gentle, the city is safe, the people are united, and the rebellion has no immediate power. But there is a choice to make. You may remain here,